Hi and welcome to this Blueberry Market Forex wrap video with me, John Kibler, head currency analyst. In this video I'm going to go through some of the markets, majorly the focusing on the major currency pairs and how they've performed this week. So at the start of the week we were looking at the US dollar to potentially fall back down into some key areas, especially these previous structure highs, and as we've seen today the market has literally come into that level and bounced significantly. And what I mean by bounce significantly, if we go into that 4-hour time frame, we literally just landed in there and the market has been moving higher ever since. Looking at the weekly time frame, this is what we were faced with at the start of the week. We were expecting the market to find some resistance up here, okay, and the reason was because earlier the week prior the market was breaking out, and then we had Friday give us that false breakout to the downside, very big bearish candle here on Friday, and that gave us the reason to look for short opportunities on the US dollar back to key supporting areas. We had these supporting highs here and we had that breakout high just in there. Market is now retested and looks to be finding a little bit of support just through here. So now what we could anticipate on this daily time frame is some kind of reaction. We could be looking for next week a potential double bottom pattern for then a continuation of that dollar strength into that highs, or if we form a lower high. So if the market rallies back up into this area, produces a bearish candle, there could be some potential downside to come again for the US dollar, and then some continuation to the downside. But we have to wait and see. We have to see how our strength and weakness plays out and see what the results are of that this week. But looking pretty good here for some dollar strength. Euro dollar again comes up into this daily level of resistance, forming a nice bearish rejection here, so we could see some downside again into next week for Euro US dollar. Nice big move up this week, so we're just seeing people take profits at that point. Pound, another one where the market's just continuing to the downside. Really like the continuation of this pound falling. I like the idea of this, especially into this sort of 127 128 area, which is pretty close to now anyway. Okay, so been looking for those continued shorts into next week. Aussie as well, we took a short position on this yesterday on the 4-hour time frame. As the market approached these 4-hour lows, we're expecting that continuation. It smashed through our take profit and is again continuing to move lower. So we've got to expect that to continue next week, maybe a pullback into these previous 4-hour lows. We've had that initial retest, but we may get a secondary retest into next week where the market pulls back in, rejects and continues to the downside. So there may be some more trading opportunities on Aussie dollar going into next week. Same for the Kiwi dollar. Market is now back into a key weekly zone. The one that's really caught my attention is dollar CAD. We've had a big breakout to the upside as the risk off market continues. Obviously the dollar's dropped significantly, but the Canadian dollar has really felt that pressure and is approaching 135.20, which is these weekly highs up here, which I expect to be tested going into next week. So looking for some potential maybe pullback continuation trades on this next week. If the dollar starts to bounce, or the dollar index starts to bounce where we expect, then this could really be a market that drives higher. Oil prices dropping on that risk off sentiment as well. So looking for key support and resistance areas for this market to move to the upside. Obviously 133.45 is a great area to look for that, but you know, what's the likelihood of it coming back there before heading higher? I'd say quite unlikely. Might have to look at some areas, other areas such as this breakout high, so around about that 133.84 could be the area where the market finds support for a continuation to that 135.20. okay, taking a look at the stock markets, obviously we were looking for you know, we were expecting the market to continue lower. We did point out some support and resistance areas where we could see some kind of short-term bounces from, but daily chart has given us absolutely nothing to work with. So, you know, going to that weekly time frame, very, very bearish here on the stock markets. There's been obviously profit warnings across multiple companies, how the coronavirus is affecting them. So, you know, expect further downside on these stock markets. You know, we could even head back down towards these sort of 2018 lows where the market bounced previously. That could be a good area for this market to head towards as well. Another market that's really feeling the punch is the FTSE. Starting to see a big move to the downside. Let's remove those. You know, are we going to see a continued breakout of this low? If we get that, then I would expect further downside here as well. You know, again, 2015 lows are looking very, very likely as this coronavirus continues to heat up in the markets. Okay, so very much risk off sentiment, very much trading those risk off currencies. You know, you want to be selling your Aussie, your CADs, your Kiwis. You want to be buying your yens and things like that. You know, even if I go to Kiwi yen, I imagine the drop on that has been quite significant this week. Yeah, after seeing that breakout to the downside, I was looking for a retest. We didn't quite get that, and the market continued. We had a short on pound yen, which didn't retest either and just continued to the downside, which was unfortunate for us. But, you know, these things happen in these type of risk-off markets. So this is our Forex market wrap for this week. Hope you enjoyed this week's content. If you did, please like and give and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more. And I'll speak to you next week. Have a good weekend.